Hello and welcome to a special Heroes World presentation, our next review of Star Wars Andor, Episode 4. Not to be confused with Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, the movie that started it all off. Jesse, how you doing tonight? Are you ready to talk some Cassian Andor?
Yes, I think so.
All right.
It was episode 4, but it seemed like episode 2 to me because of that 3-hour block they did.
Right on, right on. And in true episode 4 form, I think we better pick some aliases. So let's pick a new name for you. You go first. What am I going to call you for the rest of this episode just to confuse everybody? And you can't take Clem because Clem has already been taken.
Dudley.
All right. You definitely don't look like a Dudley, so I'm going to screw this up and call you by your real name. But if you're going to go by Dudley, I think I am going to have to go. Let's see. I will go with Evan. I shall be Evan.
I was going to say Scotty because of the red.
Oh, yeah, red shirt. Yeah, red shirt. Well, we already have a Scott, and Scott can't be with us tonight because
that's true.
Our schedules kind of, shall we say, ran a little bit out of sync. But you've got Dudley and myself, Evan, and we are talking episode 4 of Andor. So, 2 of the 4 Heroes World Star Wars crew. And we are going to take the same format as last time. We're going to talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, and possibly what we would change or do differently for this episode. So, Dudley, sorry, there's no Jesse here. Yes. Dudley, what did you like about episode 4?
To be honest, there wasn't that much. I thought it was a very dry, very slow, very boring episode. Like, I'm coming off just watching a great series, Cyberpunk Edge Runner, and every one of those episodes was half an hour long, and every one of those episodes hit it out of the park every single time.
Yep.
And watching episode 4 of Andor, I was bored most of the time. I paused it halfway through, and I was like, okay, I've got 20 minutes left. I can do this. It seemed like a gauntlet I had to get through. I'm being very mean. People worked very hard on the show. It looked great. It just...
Okay.
The pacing of the show, they threw out the anchor out the window and came to a halt. We built 1, 2, and 3 were going so well. We built a climax, and then it just seemed to fall off. We left hyperspace and we stopped, and it just... You said, what did I like? What did I like?
There's got to be one thing, Dudley. Did you not like that he chose the name Clem?
No, I didn't. I was like, what's going on? I fell asleep for that part, I guess. I was like, oh. Actually, I did like it. It seemed like he was waiting for that moment for a long time. He had his name ready to go. He's like, Clem, call me Clem. He had it rehearsed. He had it rehearsed, ready to go. I see where the episodes are going. It's more of a spy espionage thing. I had a theory going in my head, which I'm hoping comes true. I'll let you know later near the end of the show what I'm thinking. I'm working it out. I just thought of it like 10 minutes ago. But what did you think of the episode?
Okay, so what did I like? Okay. Definitely, I know I said it last episode, but how do you pronounce his name? Skarsgård?
Skarsgård, yeah.
Yeah, this guy is killing it, man. On the ship when it came out of hyperspace and he gives his little speech and his pitch, I'm like, bam, yeah, this is bang on. This is awesome. And again, once he puts on the costume and he's changing into, now we don't know which one is the true alias or not. Like, is the curator of the store / museum the real persona, or is this the real persona? Amazing. So the reason why I liked it. So one of my favorite Star Wars series called Star Wars Legacy, originally written by Dark Horse Comics. They had a really cool character who was an Imperial, I think she was an Imperial ISB agent, funny enough, but she was also had an alias as she was a kind of rebel mercenary. And I remember reading that issue in which we see the character taking off her makeup and putting on the wig and changing, and I'm like, oh my god, like I know that's a kind of a common thing in these things, but it just instantly made me flash back to that comic series, and I absolutely loved it. And I just loved how he had to get his little swagger, like he had to get back into character because he's landing. So yeah, I really, so far, if you take him out of the show, I'm definitely not liking the show as much. 100% sure. But I will also say that this episode felt more like Star Wars to me. Not in context of actions and stuff like that, but again, the ship coming out of hyperspace, seeing Coruscant, and just seeing, like, I guess it was familiar kind of sights. It did feel like Star Wars, and I really liked most of that stuff. I do agree with you that the pacing's off, and it did seem that this episode was a little bit longer, but knowing that the show is going to be 12 episodes and each is going to be broken down into 4 different 3-episode arcs, I was kind of already in knowing that it would be not as the same pacing as the first 3. So I think I had set myself up to be, think as you say, but thinking it would be a little bit boring, but I did enjoy it a little bit more. I think again, the acting was stellar, and the visuals 100% were cool. I will like to say this other part, which I also did enjoy, the actress playing Mon Mothma, and it's actually really weird because it does slow down to a snail's pace when she's talking to her husband, and literally the last thing I think I would have ever said I wanted in Star Wars would be, oh, I want to know if Mon Mothma's married and what her relationship with her husband is. Never, ever, ever did that cross my mind. But now that we've seen it, they better play out that dinner party, because that sounds like it could actually really set kind of the tone for different things. So I think I'm a little bit opposite to you. I think I definitely did enjoy this episode. Definitely better than I think the first 2. And it's probably up there with the third one for me. But again, that's because of Skarsgård's performance. Like, I could watch, literally give me a show on him and what he's doing. Like, honestly, still not really interested in Cassian Andor. Didn't find him, but anything interesting. But yeah, give me a show on this guy and how he gets to where he is. I'm 100% down. So that's my thoughts on the episode there. So do you want to see is there anything else that you were positive about other than the name thing of Clem? Anything else now that you've had time a little bit to think about it? Because you didn't really there had to have been something that was good.
No, he did do a good performance. No, I guess I'm taken back by all, like, their crew. We know they're all going to die. They're not going to be around. The crew was very meh. Like, we didn't get to know any of them, and the fact that we know they're not his crew from Rogue One. So, like, they're not going to make it off this mission, I don't think. Or if they do, they're going to make it maybe 1 or 2 more episodes.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I do want to see that whole firework thing they were talking about play out for their heist. I want to see them, like, it was very creative. Oh, we're going to go at this time because there's going to be fireworks going off and no TIE fighters can fly, but we can scoot across the ground. So that did seem interesting to me. Yeah, I don't know. Mon Mothma. Yeah, she was good.
Okay. All right. Well, since there was definitely a lot that you didn't like, let's start off with that, and we are going into the next segment of what we didn't like about the episode.
I just went for 10 minutes about what I didn't like. You go first. What did you not like?
Okay. Wow. So even though I did like some of those things, there's a couple things that really, really bothered me about this episode. I'll start with the kind of nitpick one that we saw in the initial trailer. But man, it really stood out, and it literally like somebody pressed an ejection seat and fired me out of the show. And I'm talking about the Star Wars version of what looks like an AK-47.
Mm.
So we saw that in the quick trailer, and then to see now two people carrying that gun, I'm like, oh my god, like it looked so like it looked out of place. Did the prop itself look good? Sure, it wasn't like it was a painted Nerf gun, but the problem is it looks so much like I'm not sure if I'm getting the right name, but anyways, looks so much like an AK-47 that you've seen in countless 80s action movies. And if you're playing Call of Duty games and war games and stuff like that, just this generic rifle. Now, why am I so bothered by this? Well, because back in the day when Star Wars first came out, some people will point out to you that, there was a couple times where some specialty stormtroopers had a gun that was based off of a World War II gun or whatever. That's what the prop was made on, and they added some other stuff to it. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. That was 1977. Okay. Today, you literally have people have 3D printers that can 3D print anything. I'm not a bad painter. You're not a bad painter. Literally, if you gave me 3 hours, I could have found a file for a gun from any of the Star Wars video games, printed that damn thing, painted it, and it would have looked more in place here. It just looked so out of place, and to see it just there, I'm just like yeah, even like again, give it something, make it stylistic, like a Tusken Raider gun if you really wanted to. But the fact that it looked like that totally ejected me right out of it. Okay, so that's fine. That's a little bit nitpicking. All right, cool. The second thing. Now, I did mention to you how I really liked Coruscant, and I really felt like this looked like Star Wars. My other gripe is, so far, we have not seen a single, maybe there's been one, so I might be incorrect, but we have not seen a single alien species. There has been no alien species on the first planet. There's no alien species on Coruscant when they showed the scenes. None of the crew of the heist guys, none of them were aliens. Now, when I say aliens, sure, maybe they can all be from different planets or whatever, but these guys are all humanoid looking, two appendage, just look like human dudes. And I'm like, yeah, not feeling very spacey right now, not feeling very Star Wars. Star Wars, galaxy far, far away, denizens from all over. And stuff like that. So I think I really would have enjoyed to see at least a couple background characters in that. And my biggest gripe of this episode, are you telling me that the Empire actually has a money train for payroll? Like, would they not literally have like their payroll on like a data stick or something like that? You know what I mean? Like they're going to steal a whole bunch of like imperial paychecks. Like they're paying their staff in credits that can be stolen. I'm like, you literally could have said, okay, we got to steal X piece of technology, or like something like really like not even credits, like a payroll. Like what the like. My God, I think it's written by Tony Gilroy. Like that was what you came up with. Like you couldn't have come up with anything else. And then they got the most convoluted heist story, which you're like, okay, yeah, this is kind of cool. Like you mentioned it, there's going to be some type of star asteroid field or something, and there's only a limited window. And I'm like, oh my God. So again, that just yeah, 2 thumbs down on that. Really, really didn't like that part. So those are kind of like my three big issues with it. Obviously, the last one being the biggest. So yeah, those are mine. What about you?
I'm just gonna stick up for the payroll for 1 second. What was it? Episode or the books we read? Heir to the Empire.
Yep.
Second one. What was it called? Dark Force Rising.
Dark Force Rising. Yep.
I remember when Leia and Han went to see Admiral Akbar. He said he was at the bank and his bank accounts got frozen.
Yep.
And that always stuck with me. I'm like, I wonder what Admiral Akbar was like at the bank. Because banks are
Yeah,
usually long line. So I'm like, I wonder if he's sitting there impatient. He's like, it's a trap. Save my
yeah.
money. So yes, they probably do have payroll because they had a bank in that book.
Right. But we have banks too, Jesse, and I'm pretty sure you're paid for your job, but they don't give you a check that gets deposited into your account and the money is there. So what are they doing? You got stormtroopers saying, no, man, I need cold hard cash from the Empire. You better not give me no credit stick or deposit it right into my Imperial account. So, anyways, just thought it was, pretty lame. But okay, I digress. I'm taking your time. What did you not like about this episode?
Now that you bring it up, there haven't been any aliens. The AK was really weird. I think they could have fixed that by just taking out the clip because the AK has the curly clip,
Distinct
right?
curved flip, yep. And
So if
also
they,
the sight at the end of the barrel. It's very distinctive, right?
I think if you just take out the curly clip, the sight you would have overpassed. And if you
Yeah.
put like a little, maybe like a ball, like maybe one of those water jugs from Bubba Fett on the bottom, it would look a lot different. Like
Yeah.
why does the laser gun need a clip? Because the stormtrooper guns just had power packs, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just really jarring with the pace of this episode. Really slow. Um, the slums of Coruscant, I found was kind of very weird when what was the guy's name? The officer that got fired. He
Oh,
went to see
Karn?
his yeah, he went to see his mom and she slapped him and it was like a slum sort of place, like a
But you
big
know what's funny? Was that Coruscant? Because it didn't tell us what planet it was on.
I think it was Coruscant because that's where the ISB is.
Yeah, but again, like you've got this problem of you putting the names of the planet every time. You put the name of the planet when we see Coruscant and could identify it as Coruscant like easily, but then we see this part. So, isn't that kind of funny that that guy, a security officer, could afford a a ride to the center of the galaxy? Like Coruscant
Yeah.
is the hub. Do you know what I mean? It would almost be like, you know, if New York City was like, like the center of the planet, the galaxy. You know what I mean? It'd be like, well, you're just going to happen to. Anyways, I really didn't like that part either. That they didn't say what planet that was because now we are waiting for you to tell us because it could have been anywhere. It could
I
have
guess
been the same planet that he was on.
I guess
For
you're
all
right.
we
I'm
know.
assuming it was Coruscant because
Yeah.
all that happened on Coruscant. What a shitty end of the stick for him too. He was just doing his job and he got fired. Like he seemed like the most competent one. Sure, his men died, but he wasn't
I don't know.
not
I
not doing his job.
I no, but I think he wasn't doing his job. He was trying to show initiative, but he totally blew it out of the water because his commanding officer said, "Hey, we don't want the Imperials to come down on us. These two guys were idiots. Don't investigate this." And he's like, "No, I think he wanted to make that name for himself, and then that's how it screwed up." Right?
He,
Because he like you said, he didn't do his job. He went over and above. Like he's like, oh, it's only two people. Let's take 12 guys. Why would you take 12 guys to arrest a single person? Right? And then they like he literally, I think that shows his kind of incompetence, is that he went too far and then it blew up in his face. But however, I didn't like, sorry, I really shouldn't be going over
oh no,
what
go
you're
ahead.
saying, but I really didn't like how there was literally, there should have been a scene of his commanding officer because this guy says, "It's like I wasn't even here. I didn't do any of this." Right? He should have been like, "Oh, you pompous punk" or whatever. I would have loved to see a scene where he just got pushed out. He's like, "Now my career is in the dumps. We've lost the company has lost command of this thing," and like he just got to go away scot free and whatever. And again, I don't give a crap about this character. He should have been gone out of this after the first arc. It's done. So what? He's gonna join the rebellion, or he's somehow gonna track down Cassian on his own through his own merits. I don't know. It just seems. I didn't like where that was going. But continue, Dudley. I apologize.
Dudley. Where was I going with that? Yeah. I now I'm going back to stuff I did like. I did like the monuments in his like little trophy room. Like did you notice the one that I really didn't notice at first, but I
Which
read
part
about
are you talking about?
the what's his name, Skarsgård,
Hmm.
when Mon Mothma went to visit him at the museum sort of
Oh,
thing.
his little museum shop. Yeah, yeah,
Did,
yeah. There was
did you
lots of cool things in there.
did you pick up on Starkiller's armor from the
I
video game?
It looked very similar. Yeah, on the background on the wall, and then there was a couple of there was like looked like I don't know if it's Beskar armor, but he had the Mandalorian body plate and definitely lots of Easter eggs
He had a
on that
Plo
part.
Koon mask.
Yep, yeah. So yeah,
So remember when I was talking about my theory?
yes.
That girl that works for the ISB, I think she's based on Juno from The Force Unleashed.
Oh, okay.
She looks identical. Have you seen the pictures of her with her hat on?
Yep.
She looks just like Juno from the games, and I think we might see Starkiller in this because 5 years before Rogue One would take us to Starkiller time. No,
I don't think. Yeah, I guess maybe they could. I can't see them doing it. I don't think this is going to have any type of Jedi or Sith or anything in it. Tony Gilroy's basically said he wanted to tell this kind of grounded story in this universe. But I think you bring up kind of an interesting point with people looking like other Star Wars characters, so you can make these connections. And I think that's probably one of uh maybe not the biggest positive for it, because all of a sudden we'll have all these this baggage to bring with us, and then we're hoping things happen,
yeah,
and then maybe they don't happen. And I will say, like, the whole ISB scene, it was very um very well done and stuff like that, but it's almost like I felt they were sticking too close to um 1977 original Star Wars. Like, the whole show, like, for the most part, it seems very human centric, obviously. And I know, and we all know the Empire is xenophobic, right? But even this ISB, like, you got this whole big room, right? And there was two black guys and I think one Asian guy in that whole meeting, and then everybody else was, or looked like all bunch of white guys, like it's 1977 again, right? And again, 1977, there's a reason why it was like that. You tell me you couldn't put, you know, just other people, like there's not going to be other humans in it. It just seems like at every turn in this show, is every character is presenting like the original movies and stuff. Yes, we ended up having a couple extra female characters in there, which is great, but I just feel that it's just like, yeah, you could, again, maybe I just noticed it because of the aliens. Sprinkle some aliens, sprinkle some people of color in there, and stuff. And I know, yeah, the other ISP guy was a black guy or a person of color, and stuff. But I just felt like it just still seemed a little bit off to maybe they're trying to say, oh, we're emulating what was in the original Star Wars and stuff.
her assistant kind of looked like Tarkin too.
Yeah.
I was looking at him. I was like, are they trying to do a young Tarkin? But that's
Yeah.
way too
No,
young
but
for.
yeah, it's way too young, and even then, like Tarkin, he would have been higher up at that. But anyways, it is what it is. All right. So, what about what you would change, if anything, other than the pacing? Because we know we would have sped up the pacing and maybe put some action in this.
I would have shown his new crew in kind of a heist-like situation, maybe stealing the truck they're going to take into the thing, because we have no reason to care about them. Like, Cassian gets to the planet, says his name's Clem. He meets the girl, and the girl's just busting his balls from the get-go, and he's done nothing wrong to her. I got to learn his name. Skarsgård's like, this is my friend. He's going to help you. He knows what he's doing. He's a pilot. He's the best asset you could have for this job.
Yep.
And she's like, I hate him already. I don't trust him.
Don't trust him. He was dropped on me. Yep.
But they've been doing flashbacks from since Disney started bringing out these shows. Why not see a flashback of a heist gone wrong for these characters, just so we can sort of have a feeling instead of cannon fodder for these guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, a couple things I would change, but I think the first one, and I think this would help out a lot of the Disney Plus shows, and I don't know why we don't get them as often as we should. I would add a classic Star Wars crawl to the opening of this show. You could pop up with Andor and do the actual Star Wars theme, and then just be like, it's the time of the Empire. The Empire tightens its grip across the galaxy, taking over corporations and exercising their dominance. But there are people who would stand against them. On the planet, Cassian Andor is now joining a crew put together by Skarsgård, and he has to get more help, and he contacts Senator Mon Mothma or whatever. Like, every episode could have that crawl. You could start with that Star Wars music and like, yes, I'm watching a Star Wars, and then let it get as dark or mature or whatever else you want. But I'll be like, oh, cool, I got the Star Wars crawl. It got me up to speed with that episode and stuff. And then it's also could serve as a little bit of a recap. I think that would make the show feel like really, really like Star Wars for me. So that would be probably the change I would like to see for the whole the whole show. But on to what I would have changed in this particular episode. And I think it was, we mentioned it, or I mentioned it a little bit, and I know obviously it'll play out maybe later on, but I really feel once this episode got in, they almost had too many threads. So I would have pulled out the thread about the guy going to his mom. I'm like, again, who cares? I don't know if this is a big actor and he's got to be in it. But to me, his character should be now replaced with the blonde ISB agent, because we get her backstory. We get, hey, we brought you here to do a job. You're supposed to be meticulous. She butts head with the other guy and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I'll follow these guys now. I don't want to have to follow, because to me, it just seemed like a irrelevant, bumbling guy who was basically forgettable. So I would have taken that thread out.
That's a good point, because I think that's why I have a problem with the pacing, is because there were just too many characters introduced within 4 episodes. We got his hometown people, we've got his sisters and her people, we've got Skarsgård's people, we've got his new crew. That's just counting Cassian's people, right? Yeah. And then we got the Imperials, we got the ISB agents, we got Mon Mothma Senate people. Like, there's just so many people to remember, and I can't even remember Skarsgård's name.
Yeah, right? I know, it's not terrible, and I love him. I love this character, so I'm definitely going to learn his name, and we'll talk about that or post it up in the comments and stuff.
Which character do you know the name of? That is not
Cassian Andor,
but he's not a new character. I know Cassian Andor, and I know Mon Mothma, and that's it, I think.
And that's it. So true.
Like, and they're repeat characters.
Yeah, we already knew them from before. Yeah. So I guess
there was Binks in the first one. His girlfriend, not girlfriend.
Yeah, I don't know. I know the IS, not the ISB, but the corporate guy. I think his last name was Karn or something.
Karn,
So I think that's it. But yeah, I don't know their first names and stuff like that. And maybe that's the thing too. Maybe they're not even saying their names enough. Like again, when you have to put the name of the planet on there, it's almost like, well, I guess you better put name tags on people. Like, if you're not referring to these people by name, right, then how are we supposed to know that? Like, you make it, make them ask the question. Oh, hey, your husband George, he likes these things, don't it? Oh, okay, her husband's name's George. I don't think they mentioned the husband's name. I could be wrong. I'll have to rewatch it and stuff. But no, you make a good point, man. A lot of new people, and a lot of people that we don't really even need to to know about and stuff. So yeah. So anything else that you don't like, or that was pretty much it?
I do like your idea of the opening scroll.
Okay.
Just because it reminds me of a comic book. It's how Star Wars did flashbacks before without actually doing flashbacks.
Yeah.
They would give you all your knowledge in that little 4-paragraph little
thing that's going
scroll.
up the screen.
Yeah. And it would be perfect. Oh, I don't know who this character is. Oh, Luke Skywalker. Okay, Luke Skywalker. That's the main character's name. He is the Jedi, and it would help you get familiar with everything going on and all the players.
Yeah,
it'd be good.
No, for sure. All right, well, folks, there you have it. Some quick thoughts from Dudley and myself, Evan, about episode 4 of Clem Andor.
What would you rate it?
Oh, right.
We didn't rate it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Huh. You know, I still really like the visuals of this episode in Skarsgård. So I think I'm gonna keep with my original thing. It's still gonna get an 8 for me. Hopefully, though, episode 5 brings it up a notch, and there's a little bit more excitement on it, and the pacing is a little bit better. But like I said, I did enjoy this episode more than the first 2. So yeah, so I'll stick with an 8. What about you?
I did like the visuals too. I like that we saw TIE fighters. I like that we weren't on Tatooine. But in keeping with the trend of actually giving it letters, I'm going to give it a D+.
A D+? D+.
Disney
wow,
Plus.
so it dropped a lot. Wow,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
It was just too much to keep up with, too many things going on at all at once. D+.
All right.
I only give it that much for the visuals and the Star Wars aesthetic.
All right. Okay. So, folks, thank you for tuning in. And please let us know in the comments below. Was it an 8 out of 10 or a D+? Or where do you come in? What did you like about the show? What did you not like about the show? Are you looking forward to more? And keep it right here. Let us know if you're liking our little reviews and talks, and we will continue to bring them to you. So thanks for tuning in, and may the Force be with you.